my special?
Hey, oh wow.
There's already 6 people?
Hold on, Lord Jesus.
Wait, put that on silent, Cassy.
I'm sorry.
Hi, guys. God bless you.
Let me share this with my followers.
Cassy would be on it, right? Like, she's, like, wait, they're saying hi to you, too.
Oh, hey! Oh, my God, don't look at my hair. It's crazy.
God bless you guys. We got, wow, I can't read.
Share with all
See
followers.
Evelyn, I see Lucy, Jody, Rosie. Rosie, don't start. She said, don't be like this.
Oh, God.
Nah, I'm playing. Okay, guys, that was a
Wait,
joke.
let me do a messy bun.
Thank you. Yeah.
The messy bun look okay?
It looks better than that. Does she look better now, guys?
Messy bun? Okay, whatever.
Okay, so we're going to make this quick. She said you look great,
Awesome.
Rosie.
Awesome.
So we're going to make this, let me stop. Okay, we're going to make this quick. It's just like a mini reflection.
Yes.
I know a lot of you were there for Sunday's message. Maybe some of you joined on Periscope. But Christina was preaching, and she was preaching, again, what I took from it was just about doing things in your walk that's gonna cause a big change. So to stop taking, Cassy, you would comment, right?
I'm sorry.
To stop taking baby steps and expect to get far. That we gotta get to a point where we're taking big steps. You know, she was basically speaking about that a lot. So I just wanted to share and just reflect a little bit. You know, quick little half testimony, nothing long. But that message really spoke to me. It spoke to me deeply. And, you know, by the end of it, I was just like crying like a baby. And it wasn't like a sad cry. It wasn't a depressed cry. Like, it was just like a cry of like gratitude, of like thankfulness to God. Because, you know, back in October, I gotta make this quick. Back in October, you know, I quit my job, right? And
let me hold it. I want to be in it, just to be in it.
Christina was speaking about how sometimes you have to do something radical to get a radical change. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I quit my job. Literally, like, I went in and I was like, I gotta go. And I just left. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just went in and I said, I gotta leave. And I left. And, you know, me leaving was not, oh, God doesn't want me to work. Me leaving was, there was just something there. There was a tie there that needed to be broken.
Right.
So what I wanted to share was that, you know, sometimes we say that we let go of things. Or we say that, yeah, we moved on, that things are good. But, you know, and I said, you know, I go to retreat, I go to services, fire, fuego going on, and I let go, quote unquote, and I moved on, quote unquote. But in reality, I didn't, because the thing that I had close to my heart, right? The thing that was still coming before God, because if I'm choosing it and I'm doing something I'm not supposed to do instead of obeying God, then it's coming before God, right? So that thing was still, I was still able to grab it if I wanted to. So even though I was okay with what God was telling me, even though I was okay of letting go, I really wasn't, because it was still in my area. If I wanted to hold on to it, I could. So I never had to really deal with the letting go. So every time God spoke, yeah, I was content, but I really didn't let it go because it was still in my area. So when I left my job, it was like, that was me really having to let it go, because now it's not like, oh, if life gets hard, I get to go back to this thing. It's like, if life is hard or not, this thing is nowhere in my area anymore. I can't go back to it. And, you know, that was very scary for me, because we all have that thing that's like hard to let go of. You know, whatever it is, whatever we're going through, you know, everybody's different. And mine was a person, I'll be honest. It was a person. And, you know, that was a scary thing to let that go. It was a scary thing to leave the job, not because of the work. I'm telling you, I cried like a baby that night because of the person. I'm like, I'm not going to see you again. And it broke my heart. You know, and it was a really hard thing. And I remember I went home, it was a Wednesday night, because I'm weird and I remember the day. It was a Wednesday night, and I cried to God, and I'm like, God, I need you to come through right now, because I just literally, talk about strip away, I just let go of the thing that's close to me. Like, that was the closest thing to my heart. And not necessarily that it was good for me, because sometimes, you know, the things that we're holding on to aren't always good for us, right? We're like, oh, you know, it could be a good thing, but not a God thing. But most of the time, it's not even a good thing. It's just something that we don't want to let go of. Right. And it wasn't a good thing. But I didn't want to let go. So that night, I tell God, I'm like, God, you got to come through for me. I don't know what you're going to do, but I don't have a job. I'm not going to make money. I just lost the last thing that sustains me. Now I really got nothing. Like, and I know his presence is supposed to sustain me. But I wasn't holding on to his presence above everything. I still had that thing to hold on to sustain my mind and my emotions. So, you know, that weekend, that was a Wednesday night. That weekend, we went to Virginia with Cynthia Murray. We went to that conference. And let me tell you, there was a moment, I always talk about this moment, but there was a moment that, you know, we were worshiping and we really, really like, we entered like the throne of God. And again, I've been to conferences, I've been to retreats, but there was something about that moment that I felt like I entered in, like it was sudden, and I can't describe it till this day, and I didn't feel that ever again. That was the one time, but I was like, wow. And this man was preaching this word.
She was shocked.
And it spoke to me so deeply. You know why? Because so many times we go to church, right, and we hear a message, and how are we feeling when we're in the pews, right? We're like, wow, I gotta do that. Wow, I gotta make that move, right? You feel that conviction, which is good because we need the conviction, so we change. But that was the one time that I went to that, and I was like, I did it. Now the blessing's gonna come. Now the breakthrough's gonna come. It wasn't, oh, I'm hearing a message, like, oh, I gotta make this decision. It was like, you did it, girl. So now it's really gonna happen. Now God's gonna be able to move in your life completely because you let go of that thing that was so close to your heart. You finally put him first, and that hurt. It hurt, and it took everything. And then the following weekend, we went on the retreat, you know, Kingdom Generals. And I can't explain, you know, there's something I really wanted, and God gave it to me after a retreat, right? And I never forget Pastor Christina, you know, Pastor Tony's wife, when she was over me, praying for me and everything, and she was there in that moment. I never forget, you know, she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know I left my job. She didn't know none of this. But she said, and I never forget it, she started to like cry in her voice. Like her voice was crying, if that makes sense. I don't know if she was physically crying, but her voice was crying. And she's like, it's because of your obedience. Like, because of my obedience, God came through. So I can really testify about that thing that we don't want to let go of. That thing, whatever it is, whether it's a person or a habit, you feel like you can't live without it. You know, you feel like if you let it go, you're not going to have anything left. And you really got to trust God in that time. And I had to do that. But when I did it, he came through. And he came through in such a way that I'm like, wow, this is only by trusting God. And it was just that I really understood the power of being obedient. Exactly, obedience. I was like, wow, you really respond to obedience. You really, truly do. And, you know, whoever it is that's struggling with letting go, I'm just telling you, I know it hurts. And I know it's scary. It's so scary to just sit there and be like, God, all you. Because sometimes we say we're doing it, but we're really not. And I really had to do when I left my job. And I really saw God come through. You know, I saw him come through. So now when the healing is taking place, the healing is real. It's not a fake healing. You know what I'm saying? Because that thing is gone. I don't have that thing to sustain me. So when I'm getting over it, I'm really getting over it. I'm really letting go. I'm really moving on. And I'm not going to fall back and feel broken again. So, you know, whatever you guys have to let go of, you know, whatever it is, I'm telling you to do it and to trust God because he's going to come through. God responds to obedience. He really does. And I'm telling you, I didn't understand that. I can't explain that. That I was there and I'm like, wow. And Pastor Christina's like, she's like, this is grace. And in that moment, I just thought about my whole walk. And it hasn't even been that long. And I was like, wow, God. Like, you are just amazing. Like, you're just so amazing. So whatever it is you need to let go of, just do it. You know, just do it. Just trust God. Like, God, I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to do it, whether it's going to hurt me. Because it hurt me. Like, it broke me down so much. Like, it just broke me apart. And it's not that it was a good thing, because it wasn't a good thing, but it was something that sustained me in the moment, you know? So when Christina was sharing, I'm just like, wow, you really got to do a radical thing to get a radical change. You got to do that craziness. I'm not telling you guys to leave your job. I'm just saying, like, you got to do something sudden, something big. As big as you want the change is as big as the decision needs to be. Are you still? Okay. So I just wanted to share that. I just want to share that with you guys, you know, just to make that move, you know, whatever it is. And whatever God's asking you to let go of, it's for a reason, you know. And at the moment, it hurt at the moment, and it still does sometimes. But I'm telling you, I'm in such a better place that, like, I'm just like, wow, God. Like, that's why I was crying on Sunday. I was so thankful to him. I was like, wow, thank you for giving me the strength to be able to do that, because there's so many people that can't do that. There's so many people that are holding on to the same thing for 10, 15 years, and they don't get to grow because of that. And I'm like, thank you for giving me strength to let go of that so that I can grow, and not grow in a fake way, but grow for real. Because everything that's close to my heart is now in your hands. You know, that thing dearest to me is now in your hands. I can't say that I have to surrender. You always got to surrender more. But that big thing, it was like, now it's yours. And now I see the growth for real. You know, now I see the change for real. So whatever it is, guys, you know, let it go. Trust God. And it's going to hurt. Is it going to hurt? It's going to hurt. But just make sure you have a support system. Because that's what's going to get you through it. It's the support. And I've always been the person, ain't nobody going to make me feel better. You can't say nothing to make it go away. But you can support me. And that's what you need in these times. You need somebody to be there, somebody to listen, somebody to hear you. And that's what's going to get you through it. You know, God, if he's asking you to remove it, he's going to get you through it. And you're going to hit that day. As much as you don't think you're going to hit that day, you're going to hit that day where you're like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I want whatever you have for me. I don't want what I want for myself. I want something real. You know, so really, guys, I'm telling you, trust him, trust him. Real friends, real small. Yes, real small. So trust God, you know, trust God. Whatever it is, just trust him. I'm telling you, he's going to come through in such a way, and you're going to be able to testify for real, you know? And I can't say, you know, sometimes you try to let go, and it's not that you're never going to make a mistake again, because I can't sit here and be truthful and be like, oh, I never messed up again. Oh, I never went back. I'm not going to say that because it's not true. But the change was real this time. The going back got smaller and smaller until the point that it's like no more. Mm-hmm. So just cut it off. Cut it off by the root. Just cut it. I know Cassy probably wants to share if you want to.
No, I was just honestly like cracking my neck. But that's all you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just really wanted to share about, you know, just kind of testifying how Sunday spoke to me really deeply in that way. I was like, wow, God, you respond to obedience. You really do. If there's one way to get God's attention is to be obedient. And when it's going to cost you something. Because it cost me. And again, it didn't cost me everything in the sense that I lost everything. But when I say it cost me everything, emotionally, it cost me everything. Because I had nothing to sustain me. It's like a drug sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You got that drug. It was like just throwing the drug out.
It's your fix.
And then when life gets hard, what do you got to go to? Only God. You can only go to God. You know, and you learn to depend on his presence above everything else. You know, so it's like now I'm at that point where I want his presence above everything else. Because that's the only thing that's going to really sustain me. Cassy always sounds like Master One. She really does. Wait, if you want to share, Cass, you could say something.
I just think that, you know what, that's confirmation, because right before we was going to do this Periscope, Kristen's like, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about. And I was like, nah, don't tell me. Like, let the spirit flow. So, you know, and she's talking about change and all that. And, you know, that was really I was actually going to do a Periscope today on change. And, you know, I was just in class, and that's just been recently on my mind a lot, is change. And when I finally let go, that's the main thing that we're talking about too, is letting go. And letting go is you're going to see a change. And what that letting go is, you know, I was in class today and we're learning about personality types, because when I finally let go of what I needed to let go of, it took away 75% of me. It took, when I let go, I wasn't even myself anymore. I was calling Kristen in the suit. I couldn't even go shopping. I was literally in the store. I had to pick up something for my mom, and I was just in another world. You don't feel like yourself. You don't know yourself anymore when you finally let go of that one thing that's been really holding you back. It doesn't even need to be a person. I'm talking about a habit. I'm talking about something that you thought formed you, that you thought was you, you know, and it became so much of a habit that it became a part of you. So when you finally rip that out of you, I didn't even feel like myself anymore. So I'm at a point right now where I'm starting to, you know, I'm in my classes. I'm really starting to get to know myself again. And in order to, and I'm talking about, I'm sitting here like I need to change, because God's been having that in my heart lately, is change. And, you know, my teacher said something today in class, and I was like, you know, in my mind, I'm like, I want to change. And I've been seeing change in my life. I have, you know, I'm starting to get to know myself again and becoming a new person. Because when you've been broken down, you need to be rebuilt again. So, you know, my teacher said, change requires two things. One, it takes you in your mind to sit there and want to change. And the second part is it's behavioral. You got to do something. Literally, change isn't sitting there like, I'm going to change, and it's all in the mind. It is all in the mind, yes, but a thought turns into an action. Meaning, if I want to change, I got to do something, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so wow, like, you know, so we're learning about personality types, and the girl, she realized one of her personality types, you know, we're going over like extroversion, introversion, you know, things like that categorize people. And she's like, well, if I'm this certain way, is it possible for me to change into that, like into another category? And he's like, yeah. And that's when he said that. He was like, but it takes practice. He's like, what you have to do is you literally have to sit there, and let's say you don't like talking. You're very a shy, not sociable person, and you see yourself and you desire to be outgoing, and he's like, you literally have to practice. You got to go in the room and say, hey, everybody, like, you got to do things that you're not comfortable with. So I'm at a point right now where change, it requires us to do something, right? So let's stop thinking about it. Let's stop sitting here like, oh, I want to change. I'm going to change, and it's all in the mind. But like I said, a thought turns into an action. So let's start moving. Whatever's holding you back, whatever you know is not right, be true to your convictions. Who said that? Vanessa? Mm-hmm. Vanessa said that, right? That's true. If you're convicted about something and you don't feel no, Nia, and you don't feel right about it, don't sit there and ignore it. That's the Holy Spirit, man. He's tugging on you and he's telling you, yo, change that. Whether it be, we're keeping it funky, let's say you're doing drugs, or you're sexually active when you're not supposed to be, or you're sitting there talking to this person when you're not supposed to be, or you're in a relationship that you're not supposed to be in. I could go on with the whole list because we've been there, done that, all of us, so get to a point where if you have a conviction about something, stop it. Do you want to make God upset? We're at a point right now. Do you want to make him upset? Does it have to take you to a point? We had to go to the point where he had to literally rip it away from us. Literally rip it to the point where it's still there. But is that nothing you could do is going to get you that thing back. Nothing. It's broken, and you're going to try fixing it over and over and over with your own strength, and it's not going to work. So whatever you feel convicted about, whatever you feel like you need to let go of, do it. Just do it. It takes practice. And like I said, the old man's going to try rising up. The old person, the old actions, the old attitudes. Yo, I'm telling you, like, my attitude, I'm stubborn. I got an attitude problem. I'll say what I want, and not even think twice about it. I tend to speak without thinking about it first, and it's, these things got to stop, and the first step is being aware of it. But then after you're aware of it, don't you think you need to stop it? Right? We keep saying, oh, the first step, you're aware of it and stuff. Let's stop it now. You're aware of it. Now catch yourself before you're going to get to that point where you catch yourself and you're like, oh man, I'm sorry, and it's now that I'm starting to humble myself and I'm starting to change my attitude, just the way I act, the way I speak, the things that I let go of things I needed to. And like I said, it took 70% away from me. And it's now that I gotta, through Christ, build that 75% again, because I'm not going to say all of me because I'm still myself, but you could tell when you're just not there. You could tell when people are just not there, right? When you're just not mentally there anymore. Because what you were just so fixed on, what you focused on. And I would never forget that message with my mom, what you were talking about with the basket. She did it again this service. Mm-hmm. She did it again this service. And that's what touched me the most. Because I'm like, that one message that really stood to us, she did it again. With the basket, you continuously put all your change in this one jar, man. And it's like, when is it going to stop? When is it really going to stop? So let's be about the change, Let's stop talking about it.
Oh, no, I wanted to just bring the camera down.
Oh, okay. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. You have another thought?
I'm just going to add two more things. One, with the basket I shared in the last Periscope, it's like, it takes practice, like she said, but you really have to get to a point, or we all do, where you really just pour out everything to God above everyone else. Because that's why so many times we get broken. And I see it all the time. I see it in so many people, especially women around me, different ages. I'm not talking about my age. I'm talking about different ages, like all across the spectrum. And it's because they pour out everything into a person or into this thing, whether it's a job. And then when that thing is no longer there, or that thing starts to get rocky, they don't know how to act anymore. They don't know how to live anymore, because they just poured everything into it. And you have to be very careful that you live a balanced life. And you got to be balanced with your emotions. You have to be balanced with your thoughts. Because, you're distracted.
Sorry.
Because, that's how you're not going to get broken. If you're going to give everything, give it to God. So that when things get rocky, guess what? You need to have the thing that's eternal. You can't have the things that because people come and go. Jobs will come and go. gonna last forever, but God's gonna last forever. If there's one thing you could count on, it's his presence. And, you know, the other thing I was gonna say that goes into this is sometimes we have desires, and, you know, God changes your desires. And sometimes it's a scary thing, because, you know, sometimes you want something and you're like, but I want that. But God will change that if he doesn't want it for you. But sometimes we don't want that going into, we're like, nah, but I don't want it to change that. I want that. And you kind of resist the change. But he's going to change you, because I know I've always been a person, like, I've always wanted to get married and have a daughter. That's like my deepest desire, if you guys all want to know. And I still want that. But it's funny, because there was a service where I don't know who was speaking, and they were like, you know, like, so what if you can't get married? Do you think there's enough time? You need enough time, like, just focusing on what God needs to do in these last days. And in that moment, like, and this is how I knew it was real, when I was like, you know what, even if I don't get married, even if I don't get to have my daughter, it's okay. And I was so fixed on that for so long, because it's what I wanted more than anything. And it's not that I don't believe God will give it to me, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not the most important thing, because it's not about me. It's about what he needs to do through me. It's about what he needs to do through all of us. You know, and he just kind of, I see how he just changed the desire. It's still there, but it's not such a burden anymore. It's not like, but I have to have it. It's just like, God, if you give it to me, great, but I'm not going to stop my life for it. You know, I'm going to keep going and do what you called me to do. So God will change, you know, desires, or change the way you feel about certain things that you have a hard time letting go of. You know, it's not going to feel like you just lost all of you forever. You know, you're going to get to the point where you start to change, and it's going to feel good again. You're going to get back up. It's just such a long process, but you'll be able to get there.
We're getting there, man. Little by little, we're getting there. When I started doing change, like I said, you know, we're going to be praying for you. Don't worry. I'll pray for you. We're going to be
Jet
praying
Black,
for
what's
you.
your actual name? Belinda? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Belinda.
We're going to be praying for you. Okay. Listen, when I started doing the right thing, we get so accustomed to our old ways. Those old ways didn't work for me. They didn't work for me. And when I started doing God's way, I'm starting to see it in my relationships, in my home, in my friendships. When I started doing God's way, I'm telling you, nothing's better. Nothing's better than God's way. Because it stays just like...
And just like Christina was saying, you got to put out the pros and the cons to things. Because, again, there's things that bring us the satisfaction. Again, whether it's the 8 seconds, or it's a half hour, or it's one night, and I'm not talking, like, sexual, I'm just talking in general. Like, there's things that bring us satisfaction that are not necessarily good, but it doesn't last that long. So you gotta look at the pros and cons. Alright, so I can have this moment, you know, that feels amazing, that I'm doing something that I so-called want, but the effects of it is so bad that it's not even worth it. You know, nothing compares to the presence of God, and it's like, you don't want to lose that. And I remember I was in philosophy. I don't want to keep talking. But in philosophy, he was talking about pleasures and pain, right? About some philosophy. But he said, if a pleasure eventually leads to a pain, was it ever a pleasure to begin with? So I thought about that. Like, sometimes we do things and we're like, oh, yeah, but it's pleasurable. But if it leads you to all this pain or all this mess in your life, was it even a pleasure? It wasn't a pleasure to begin with. It's really a pain. You know what I mean? So we got to look past that temporary feeling. We have to, like, you know, look at the bigger picture. What is this costing me? Because is it worth for my walk to go down because of one thing? Is it worth for my emotions to fall down for one thing? Like, you know, is it worth it? You know, we gotta get to that point where we just keep pushing ourselves. Like, no, I'm going to do what God called me to do, and I'm going to be obedient to him. Because it's not worth it. You know, you want to get higher, but let me tell you, you're not going to get higher if you keep falling. It doesn't work that way. You know, it's going to cost you something. You always say the anointing, you have to pay a price. You know, to get to that high place, you got to pay a price. You have to let go of things. You got to stop doing things that God doesn't want you to do, you know? And it's hard, but you if you do it, you're going to see the change, but it's going to cost you something. But as you see the change, it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like, you see the change and you're like, it hurt to let this go, or it hurt to stop this, but I'm seeing my growth in the spirit. And it's just so much better than anything that the physical world can bring you, you know? So it starts to balance it. You're okay with losing that. You're okay with hurting. It's not fun, but you're like, but spiritually I'm getting up here, and that's what I want to please God. I want to get to that place, you know?
Just take a moment, whoever's on here, just take a moment to think about what's holding you back right now. We get so caught up in our work life and in school, and just we keep ourselves so busy, I noticed that. I kept myself so busy to the point where I didn't even think for a moment. That's a coping mechanism.
Yep.
That was my coping mechanism. Keep yourself so busy, Cass. You're so hurt right now, but keep yourself so busy to the point where you don't even think about the hurt anymore.
Yep.
But just for a moment, just sit right now and think about, what is it that's holding you back? What is it that, whether it be, just the first thing that popped in your mind, whether it's a person, a thing, a lifestyle, what is it? What is it that's just holding you back right now? Just take a moment and think about it while you're on this Periscope. It's going to cost you to let go of that. But I'm telling you, the benefit in the end is going to be far worth it. It's going to be worth it. What do you have to do? Now think about, what do you have to do in order to let that go? Do you have to cut off a friendship? What do you have to do? Just think about it. It probably hurts even thinking about. You know the answer. You know, we keep going to guidance. We keep going to people. What should I do? You know what to do. Just think about it. What do you have to do to let go of that thing? Now, the next thing is, tomorrow's a new day. Even tonight, even right now, do it. Just do it. Just do it. Don't even think about it. For a moment, just don't even think about it. Just do it. Because you already, like I said, you already know the answer. That's it. Let it go. Just let it go. It's something so, it's simple, but it's complicated. Just let it go. That's it. I had to change my number. I had to do a lot. Let it go. You gotta do what you gotta do. Start over. Just start over. So I'm gonna end it with that.
Yeah, let's just close it with, just one last thought. A lot of times, like she's saying, you know what it is. So many times we keep, I'm waiting on God for an answer. I'm waiting on God for confirmation. I'm waiting on God. And at the end of the day, there's so many times where we're waiting on God, but we know it and we don't get the answer because God already told us to ourselves. We don't always need a prophet to come and speak this word, but he spoke to our hearts and we know the answer, but we want to keep trying to wait on God when it's like, no, you're trying to change the answer. You're trying to find an answer that's going to suit what you want, when in reality, you know that God wants you to let it go. So we know what we need to let go of. We don't need God to come have some prophet come and tell us. We know what it is. And we just got to respond and be obedient to that. God didn't tell me through somebody to leave my job. He didn't say it. But I knew that I had to leave my job. And I did. So I guess we'll just end it with this.
And one more thing.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I just want to end it with this too. We put ourselves in positions half the time. And I was teaching the youth about this a long time ago. And I was like, there's a line. There's a fine line. If you know, let's say, I'm going to just use this as an example. If you know you're an alcoholic, do you really think you're going to go to a bar? Just to, you know what I mean? Do you really think you're going to be in that environment? Sometimes it just takes full-blown common sense to help you in certain situations. If you know that, give me another example. Drugs. If you know that you got a close friend, man, and man, you trying to quit smoking, let's say. Pot. You trying to quit.
Don't say pot.
And they're like, yo, let's hang out. And you know they're close to you. You know what I'm saying? You know they're really close to you. That could be a best friend. Yo, I can't chill with you, man. I can't. I can't chill with you. I know if I chill with you, I know it's gonna go down. I just know it for a fact. If you know that you're trying to stop being sexual, you're trying to stop being sexual with a person, do you really think I'm gonna sit there
sleep in the same bed
and sleep in the same bed with you? Do you really think that I'm gonna sit there and be like, yo, let's watch a movie and just something so, yeah, let's just watch a movie and just cuddle, come on, yo, I know it, like I said, it's a fine line. It really is. I know you want to cuddle with Booski. I know you want to sleep with them. I know, you just want the comfort, but but is it worth it though? If you know it's going to lead down to that road, if you know for a fact that you're weak in that area, that you're so weak, are you really going to put yourself in that situation? That's all I wanted to say, is that I could just go on with the list. Like I said, it doesn't even have to be those 3 things. It could be anything. If you know that you like going out partying, do you really think you're going to go to, like, that's what I'm saying. It's not worth it. It's just not, don't hang out with people that you know that you're weak in an area and they do that all the time. Like, you got party animal friends and you trying to stop partying and they're like, yo, look, come on, let's just chill. Let's just go get some food. You know for a fact you're not going to go get food. Come on, like, let's be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just keeping it funky. Like, I lost a lot of friends. And like Mommy was saying on Tuesday, when you lose friends, when your group gets smaller, you know you're getting closer to God, man. You know for a fact you're getting closer to God. That's what I'm saying. Like, just, your group is going to get smaller. But you know what? As my group got smaller and I stopped listening to all these voices, the voice of God becomes louder.
That's what I was gonna say.
It becomes so much louder, real small. I want quality rather than quantity. I don't care if I got 20 friends. Done all those 20 friends. I don't need that. I don't need it. Real small. You guys know, real small.
And another thing with the friends, you know, obviously you got to stop hearing everybody's voice and hear God's voice. Because I love that Christina said that. She's like, everybody's like, do me, and I did me, and I done messed up my life. And I love that, because you have to seek wise counsel. You have to be mindful of who you're seeking advice from. And a lot of times we surround ourselves with people that don't edify us. So when we're going through things, when there's things going on, we're seeking advice from these people. And then we wonder why life is going in circles. But are you seeking advice from God? Are you seeking advice from men and women of God?
Right.
If you're not seeking advice from them, don't expect your life to come together.
They're going to people that they want to hear
like
they want to hear that voice. You want to hear it's okay.
Leading the blind.
Right.
You're going to blind people that are going to lead you into. No, when you're doing this walk, you have to go to people that are doing this. I have a few friends that don't serve God, and out of the 3 of them, only one of them I actually go to and speak with, because she's very wise and she believes in God. But even in that, I still have to seek the spiritual part, because there's things that she can tell me as a friend, you know, oh no, you know, don't talk to this person. That's not good for you. But I still need the spiritual advice, because she's not serving God. So there's that spiritual realm that she's not looking at it from that perspective. You know, so you have to make sure you're seeking advice from men and women of God, and real, not half Christian men and women of God. I'm talking about some real, for real, that are living their life. They have fruit to show for it. Men and women of God. So that you can be on the right track. Don't go to a blind person to lead you, because it's going to be the blind leading the blind. You know, so your circle is very important. And at the end of the day, you got to see God. You'll hear from him yourself. Right. We hear all these voices. I'm telling you, so many people putting stuff into our minds, into our lives, and we don't know what direction to go. Right. And it's like, if I just sit there and I just shut up, because sometimes we talk too much. It's not even the people. Sometimes it's ourselves. We just talking. But if we sit down and just go to the presence of God and just shut up, you know, shut everybody else out, so you know, disconnect to connect and just listen to him. And like I said, you feel it. Like, even when it comes to letting go, oh, I don't know, I'm waiting for God to. God told you. You felt it in your prayer closet. Right. You felt it in your heart, but you don't want to accept it, you know? So that's what you got to just go into the presence of God and just listen to his voice and seek counsel from wise men and women of God. Don't seek it from worldly people. You're not going to go nowhere. You're going to go in circles. I don't listen to worldly people for advice. Don't I'll listen to you, but I'm not going to take it in. Because I know I'm seeing the spiritual. Don't go to people with your problems that can't solve it. Yeah, because what our fight is not against flesh, right? It's against darkness and principalities. You have to remember that. And worldly people look at it like it's against people. It's not against people. It's not. When this one's acting up, when your kid's acting up, when my sister starts acting up, and I know I don't have kids, but my sister, seriously, I feel like that's my child sometimes. That's how much I feel like that tugging in my heart at times. What do you think I do? You think I sit there and go ask somebody, how do I do that? I pray, and I go to God. I'm like, because God, I need you to change her. I'll sit there. We had a fight one night, and I went there and I cried to God in prayer, and I was praying for her, and I was interceding for her, and I saw the difference that night. I saw how things started to change. You know what I'm saying? So you got to use your own authority, rebuke those things out your house, and you got to just put everything into prayer. Prayer works, man. Arguing with her, arguing with my kids or my family, it's not going to do nothing. Prayer works. What's going to work is me going to God and praying, because that's the one that can move. Not a lot of people want to pray. Nope. And that's where your answer is going to be. And that's why people don't get the answer, because they don't pray. It's really hard. It's not that it's hard, like really hard to pray, but you got to
die to self. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to take time out of your day. Like, you literally, it takes obedience. It takes, like, control. It takes, like, listen, I'm going to put, you know what? I'm going to step away from everything. I'm put my phone to the side, and I'm going to take some time and just go sit there and, you know what? I'm going to pray for a bit. It takes time. It takes energy. And not a lot of people want to do it. Not a lot of people want to stop their lives and sit there and go, you know, let me pray and reach out to God for, you know, I'm going through stuff. No. And that's where your answer is going to be, is through prayer. It's through prayer. I'm telling you, prayer. I believe that God could change. I always tell her, I believe that God could change a person in a moment. And just a moment through prayer. Just one moment. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we're going to end it like this. Yeah, we're like so... Yeah. Hi. So we're going to end it like this. Yeah, the kitties are coming back. Hey. Kitties are coming back. Deuces.
Bye, guys. Love you. God bless you.
Love you.